Hello dear viewers, my name is Rizwan Kazmi from Danesha TV, and today we are going to carry out a very important interview with Mogens Lykketoft, who is actually going to start his new role as the President of the United Nations General Assembly. And he's been in the government working as President of the Parliament of Denmark since 2011, and he has also been working as a Finance Minister and Foreign Ministers from 1993 to 2001. He is one of the very senior politicians in Denmark, and his career is around more than 50 years as a politician in Denmark. So we are lucky to have some time from him. So Mogens, first of all, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And before we start the proper interview, could you please tell our audience something about you and your background?
Well, my background is that I was a student leader in the Social Democratic Party back in the 60s. So I have been, as you said, politically active for the last 50-some years, and I've had the privilege of being in Parliament now for 34 years in different ministerial competences, and now as Speaker of the Parliament. I will have to make a pause in Parliament for 1 year, even if I'm re-elected, which I'm trying to be, because I take upon me, on request of the Danish government and with acceptance of the United Nations, to be the President of the General Assembly for the coming year. It changes every year between different groups of countries. And we were successful in getting me elected among the Western group, who is going to present the president this year. So that's what I'm doing in the short term, and then I'll try to return to Parliament, hopefully also as Speaker, and in all the ways I can promote the agenda of the Social Democratic Party, which is my party, has always been my party, which has been the party leading the path of Denmark on welfare, making sure that this country is among the most rich, the most equal countries in the world, and the less corrupt country in the world.
No doubt. Okay. I would like to first highlight some issues regarding the United Nations.
Yes.
So the first question regarding this is your role as a President of United Nations General Assembly. What is the scope of work? What is your scope of work in this position?
Well, it's about, of course, chairing the deliberations and negotiations in the General Assembly, where all the 193 nations are present. Governments of all 192 nations are present. We know the most important points of the agenda, of course, this year we know already, because what's going to happen within the first 10 days of my tenure as President is that we will have a global summit where President Obama, Chinese President Xi Jinping, the Pope of Rome, everybody will turn up, and they are going to approve the new 17 goals of sustainable development, which are being worked out right now, a long process. We know more or less what will be the content of this. We know it's about how to agree globally on a much more sustainable way, both socially and environmentally, both about the distribution of wealth and income, providing of services and health and education, but also sustainable when we talk about climate and environment in general, which is a very comprehensive, a very complicated, but a very necessary agenda. And I think that much of the work of the United Nations during my year as President will be about promoting these decisions, pushing for the governments to follow up, to make the practical implementation of policies that is actually contributing to reaching those goals within the next 15 years. And the first very important meeting where we are going to take concrete decisions will be the COP21 summit in Paris on climate in December this year. Then we will have, of course, in the United Nations a lot of discussions about peacekeeping operations, peace-creating structures. There will be a discussion on the humanitarian issues and a summit in Istanbul in the beginning of next year. We will have discussions on the drug prevention policies of the United Nations, where different countries are giving new signals and want to change the very tough, warlike fight against the use of drugs. So there will be a lot of important issues on this agenda where the United Nations hopefully can be stronger, more decisive in the work with development, peace, human rights, all those very fundamental issues.
Good. It sounds to me it's a very, very important role you are going to play during your time in United Nations office. So considering one of the very important issues, which is actually very hot issue as well, India and Pakistan, there is very hot issue since 1947 during the partition. It was left unresolved, and which has now become a very, very serious issue since both the countries have fought 3 wars already on Kashmir issues. The Indian army and the brutal acts they are carrying out in Kashmir, and India blames the same for Pakistan. But fact of the matter is, whoever is doing it, the Kashmiris are being squeezed and crushed. They are being brutalized. They are being victimized by all the means. These Indian army, there are reports in media. I mean, everything is clear on media nowadays. Media is very fast. They have torture cells and they are involved in kidnapping the people, raping the innocent women, all that. But in November 2010, this Kashmir issue was actually removed from the annual list issued by the United Nations. So Kashmir was not there. Kashmir was not there. India welcomed that very well, but Pakistan protested it. Amjad Syal actually launched a big campaign about this. Why United Nations is ignoring one of the very, very important issues? Because world should not forget that this is not simply an issue. It is a disputed territory between the 2 nuclear rivals. Do you have any plans to escalate it again, or to put Kashmir at least in a list where United Nations will focus in the coming next years?
Well, that's an important consideration. I don't really know how the majority of nations will be there, but I think you're right that this is a very important and a very long-standing conflict, where, of course, the United Nations, and that's maybe the reason it was removed from the agenda, the United Nations have no really possibility of involving themselves more than they do already, because India and Pakistan should work much better together in ending this conflict, or at least softening the conflict, avoiding the human rights abuses, and opening free access from the 2 parts of Kashmir, so that people could have a normal life and not being in a state of more or less military occupation for decades. And I really hope that we can encourage. There are positive signs of contact between New Delhi and Islamabad in recent time, and we can encourage that from the side of the United Nations also, so that they themselves work out a kind of agreement that makes it much easier to be citizen of Kashmir, but also that makes it possible for those 2 nuclear powers to de-escalate the military confrontation and avoid the risk of yet another war between India and Pakistan. And it would be, of course, very, very, very good for the people of both countries if not such a huge amount of money was used on military confrontation along the borders, and a lot could be reached with more cooperation between those two huge countries.
Yes. In December 2014, when you visited Palestine, during an interview you said, "I think the movement in European parliaments and from the government of Sweden to recognize the state of Palestine is a reaction to the observation that the present Israeli government has no intention to contribute to formation of a sovereign Palestine state, while this is expressed by the vast majority of member states in United Nations through numerous resolutions." So, considering that, we also hope for the good for the Kashmiri people, for the innocent Kashmiri people, that your entry will definitely make a difference. We really hope that you will escalate this issue.
Well, I don't think I can tell you more about what could be done on the Indian-Pakistani conflict and Kashmir than I have already done, because I have to learn much more about the positions of different countries. I have no illusion that I myself can decide the agenda. Of course, I can push some issues.
Yes.
I can ask people, don't you think this should be brought up again? I can try to bring people together, governments together, and all that I will of course have in my mind. But I cannot give any more precise advice to you of what can be possibly reached within this 1 year. I have no illusions that I can change the total geopolitical setup of the world. We have to have great powers, as India is, as Pakistan is, to work constructively together with each other and with the United Nations, if anything should be reached.
Yeah, but Mons, we are actually hoping for the good, and we are very positive that you will definitely take, or at least you will try to consider this issue as one of the very serious issues in the world. A small conflict can trigger a big problem between the two countries, and world should understand this. Regarding the local politics, the elections are going to be held, and what are your promises that you think you can fill up if you come in the government again?
Well, I think the real choice the Danish people is faced with on this next Thursday is between a government and a majority that wants to, given that we now have better employment, better public finance, want to use an important part of that to improve the qualities of health services, of education, of old age care and kindergartens and so on. The whole area of public services delivered, paid by through the taxes. We don't want to promise the people of Denmark, as rich they are, many of them, more tax reliefs. We want to use an important part of the better economy for the quality of the welfare system.
I think that's very good. Regarding the integration, I mean, to what extent it should be? You think it should be It should be working more effectively in the country?
Well, it's obvious that there are integration problems. It's obvious that some groups have more difficulties in being integrated and employed and accepting the whole setup, the norms, the democratic traditions and the labor market traditions in Denmark. I mean, we have a lot of people with a different national and ethnic background working, contributing, being an integral, well-functioning part of Danish society. And we will always have to underline that fact. And then we have some marginal groups where problems are still. And we should, of course, be even better to prevent them from being marginalized or radicalized, whatever, than we have been up till now. It seems that the right right-wing opposition is trying to use once again the situation of newcomers in Denmark as an argument in the discussion. I don't really understand. I think it's pretty indecent, actually, that the Liberal Party, Danish People's Party, now are blaming the Social Democratic government for the number of refugees coming in from the terrible civil war in Syria. I mean, there's no doubt whatsoever that the influx of refugees to all of Europe because of this terrible war is more people than we used to have. But I think we should be able to deal in a decent way with this problem. We should also be able to present them for possibilities to have their own work and earn their own money as quickly as possible. I think that's what they need, that's what they want. And I think that many of the refugees now coming from Syria are actually rather resourceful people. They have a good education background. They could actually contribute to Danish society as long as they stay here. But hopefully we will be able, through our international efforts, to end that cruel, long civil war, so that those resourceful people will be able to return and help rebuilding a new Syria. But I really find it so disappointing and depressing that the right wing once again is trying to use the foreigners.
Yeah, actually, they are saying it clearly and openly, which is very sad for us as well. I mean, most of the foreigners who came here, who learned the language, they became the part of Danish labor force, and they are contributing directly to the Danish economy. And I think similar is the case with Sweden as well. But anyways, we are again hoping that your new role in United Nations will definitely bring some changes, some positive changes. As a matter of fact, before this interview, I also attended one of the presentations. You were there a couple of days ago. You can see how much hope people have from you. So this is the only reason why I asked you in the beginning, what is the scope of work as a president? So my last question is regarding the job centers. Before coming to this interview, I have a lot of complaints and calls from people that job centers, I think you should change the name. It should be a Lunchil School Center or on job training center. There are no jobs in job center. The people who go there, I sent 15 people. It was for the last 10 months. I sent 15 people to the different job centers, and this is my survey, Danish TV surveys, and all of them were given a couple of websites. Go there and search the job. The one who lost his job after working as a bank account manager or something in 10 years or 12 years, he was sent to a job searching course, which is really awful. This is not, it doesn't really make sense that a person who's been interviewing the people for employment, now he's going there and so is there any possibility to change the way job centers are working? It's very hopeless.
Yes. 2 points here. We, the Social Democratic Party, never wanted the structure to be as it is. We think it was a less good idea to concentrate all the labor market policy efforts in a municipal framework in the job centers, because the labor market is much larger than the individual municipality. That's one thing. Well, now it happened. It happened during the last right-wing government in Denmark. And we have had to renovate that whole system. We are in the process of renovating, taking away those less meaningful courses you mentioned, and trying to match much better the individual needs and the programs we are making for the unemployed. And hopefully, because the general employment is now on increase, there will be more resources to the individual unemployed person, so that we can give her or him the exact support they need in order to get a new job. And with much more educational efforts in order to contribute to the unemployed people being able to take exactly those jobs who are on the market now. And that takes a lot of investment, actually.
So you mean this infrastructure will be changed to some extent?
This infrastructure is in a changing process right now. More money is supplied and new structures are installed there. It was decided upon when Mette Frederiksen was Minister for Employment until 1.5 years ago, and that is gradually being implemented now. So I hope we will have no examples like the one you mentioned in
Yes.
the future.
Very good. Mogens, once again, thank you very much for your time for our channel, and I hope wherever this program is being seen or will be seen in the future, it will be appreciated, because you have a very positive attitude towards what is happening in the world, the serious conflicts, and the foreigners living in your country. I especially thank you from all my community and the Danish TV viewers. So hopefully we will stay in touch, and now I have your email address.
Yeah, sure.
I will keep reminding you, and have a nice trip to New York. I think you are leaving for New York in a few days.
Yeah.
And during your time in the United Nations, you will keep receiving my mails, and there will be just one question: what have you done regarding the Kashmir?
Thank you
you very much. So you are hearing Mogens Lykketoft, and you see his comments and his observations, as well as his feelings about the people in the world, those who are suffering from the different problems and the disputes, which is not their fault, but they are the one who are suffering. So as I said, there is a big hope that this change in United Nations will definitely bring some positive impact on the present situation in the world. As far as the Danish politics is concerned, Mogens' party has been in power for the last 4 years, and we have been able to see remarkable changes in the infrastructures, positive changes. So for this time, I hope if they come again in the government, there will be much more to see and much more relief for the local Danish people as well as the foreigners. Till the next time, goodbye.